49ers, without star running back Christian McCaffrey, did just that in their first Monday Night Football game of the year, defeating the Jets 32-19 behind Jordan Mason's 147 rushing yards. Way to show up. For the first time since 2016, the Detroit Lions won a game in OT. That was a heck of a game. After blowing a 14-point lead, they tied the game with a field goal, 17 seconds left in regulation. The hero, you ask? David Montgomery, who scored the go-ahead TD in the opener for the second straight year. Lastly, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles handled business in Brazil, defeating the Packers 34-29, leading the way with Saquon Barkley's 3 TD performance. Barkley became just the second Eagles player to score 3 TDs in their debut. Good move, New York Giants. Here's Stephen A's NFL Week 1 power rankings. At number 1, the Chiefs, aiming for their 3rd straight Super Bowl title, followed by the reigning NFC champs, the Niners. At number 3, the Eagles with Saquon. Rounding out the list are the Lions at number 4 and the Ravens at 5. My girl has entered the party.
Hello.
Hey, Kimberly.
You ready, Steve? You ready? I see you getting ready.
I'm always ready.
Yeah, we stay ready. All right, Mad Dog, are the Niners in a class of their own in the NFC?
The one thing about Stevie's list, you got to put the Lions ahead of the Eagles. And I don't think the Niners right now are that much better than Detroit, if they are at all. I mean, last year, obviously, the Lions were right there with them in the NFC Championship game. The Lions, I was really impressed with the Lions on Sunday night. Not so much that they beat a Ram team that's good. It's the way they did it. They blew the lead. They had to tie the game at the end of regulation. They went right down the field. They ran the ball 8 straight times out of 9 opportunities with Montgomery. Put the ball in the end zone. Rams never got the ball back. They got a lot of ways they can beat you. Gibbs is the sort of change-up back, can make big plays. Montgomery's the power back, can do his thing. They got a great offensive line. They got a good defensive line. Marcus Davenport's going to help them an awful lot. Young secondary. Laporte is good. Williams has a big game out of Alabama, catches 5 balls, 121 yards. Goff, listen, I'm a big Goff fan. You know that?
Yeah.
And he's been to a Super Bowl. And last year he could have gone again if Campbell kicked a field goal or 2, which he should have.
Yep.
But he is not great. He's good.
Okay.
And there'd be an issue with him where most of these teams that win these championships have the great quarterback. He isn't great, and that would worry me a little bit in a huge game. But I think the Lions, Kim, are right there with San Francisco in the NFC.
Mad Dog, let me get this straight. You think the Lions are right there with the 49ers, but their quarterback is, I just can't.
Well, Purdy's not great either, but Purdy's not great. So as a result, they don't have a big edge at the position.
So here's why I will say, yes, the 49ers are in a class of their own, because what other team that we just talked about between the Eagles and the Lions, where they lose their best offensive weapon and they don't miss a beat? Now, obviously, Christian McCaffrey being gone for several weeks or a week or 2, that is not ideal for any 49ers team, right? But the fact that we saw them play without him, and not just play and get by, dominant. And so I don't look at the Lions and Eagles and say, okay, if they lost their best offensive weapon, I feel great about their team still. The brilliance of Kyle Shanahan makes me confident. The makeup of this 49ers team with Kittle and Debo, that entire team is what makes me feel like the 49ers are different. Also, Doggy, you were impressed by the Lions. You mentioned they blew a 14-point lead. The same way they blew a double-digit lead against these same 49ers last year in the title game, a game that I covered. And when I look at the Lions, I see a very good team, top to bottom, both sides of the ball. But yet this year with expectations are high. Like, it's Super Bowl for this team. Last year, they caught people by surprise. I haven't seen the Lions come out, establish, this is who we are, we're not going to fall behind. It is great that they came back, but still, I look at them, they're a notch below the 49ers, in my opinion.
I can understand that, but they should have beaten them last year in that championship game. And McCaffrey did play.
And they should have, and they didn't. And that, to me, is a big issue.
It is a big issue. I'm going to say this, Dougie, I want to tell you, the 49ers aren't in a class of their own, to answer the question directly. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are there. I think the Detroit Lions are there. I think the Rams, who give them headaches, whether they win or lose, they go up against one another's division nemesis. I think they give them headaches as well, and I don't think that can be ignored. That's number one. Number two, let me explain to you why in my power rankings, Dougie, I had the Eagles above the Lions. I like the Lions a lot. I think they're well coached. I'm a big fan of Dan Campbell and how he's changed the culture that has existed in Motown when it comes to the Detroit Lions franchise for quite some time. I mean, he's done an amazing job there and deserves all the credit in the world. But here's where I look at it. Saquon Barkley being added to the Philadelphia Eagles, this is not the same Eagles team, doggy. It's not the same Eagles team. Let me throw a couple of stats out at you. You look at DeAndre Swift and Miles Sanders, who were both on the squad for the Philadelphia Eagles last year, okay? When you think about Saquon Barkley, he can be deployed as a third down back. Neither of them were necessarily that. Sanders logged 51 snaps. DeAndre Swift logged 74. Saquon Barkley was at 134. This guy is an every down back. He's somebody that can be relied upon. He clearly can catch passes out of the backfield. He definitely can run in between the tackles. The guy squats about 600 pounds, got bionic legs for crying out loud with what he has been able to do. I mean, just massive tree trunks rather for legs. I won't call it bionic because he's been injured. But I'm looking at it from that standpoint. Then when you look at yards of runs of 20 or more yards, since 2022, only 2 running backs have had more than him. That's Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry at 31 and 23, respectively. Barkley has had 22. He's an every down back. He's somebody that you can rely upon to catch passes, to run with the football, etc. But most importantly, he's also a blocking back, which neither Swift nor Miles Sanders were. So that's going to help with the blitz because we saw Jalen Hurts. I think if I remember correctly, he had a passer rating like 62.3 when 5 or more people were rushing him, which was like ranked 25th in the National Football League. It wasn't impressive at all. You had to find a way to safeguard him from the blitz because that was when he was not at his very best, to say the least. So if you've got Barkley to hand the football off to, if you have Barkley to dip and dunk the football to, obviously that poses a significant threat, which opens things up with their prowess at the offensive line spot because they're ranked as a top 2 offensive line in the National Football League. You've got an A.J. Brown. You've got a Devontae Smith. You've got a Dallas Goedert with Jalen Hurts throwing the football. I'm saying you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, their offense is incredibly potent with the addition of Saquon Barkley. And to me, that somewhat offsets whatever you saw from them last year. I look and see the Lions being what they are, a contender, a bona fide contender who could win the NFC. But I see the Eagles as having upgraded with Saquon Barkley. And that's why I got the Eagles at number 3 and the Lions at number 4.
Yeah, I took the Packers as my Super Bowl pick, was hemming and hawing. I should have went the Lions. All right, I digress, though. Stephen A., let's get to your Steelers.